I'm going to give you another chance to tell a fun story, the salad story. I love the salad story. Another of the great pitchers from the Oakland A's who went with you to St. Louis, Dennis Eckersley. Your coaching style, you always said, was head and heart, and then your leadership style was based on communication. But when it came to Dennis Eckersley, there was a little communication issue.
Well, Sparky, we talked about this relationship and getting close to your teammates. I mean, you had to be close, but if you're the manager especially or a head coach, the advice is you can never get so close that you could not have a tough conversation, make a tough decision. And if you did, then you had gotten too close, because you do have a responsibility. You got the office, they got the locker, so you make decisions. So in Stu's case, for example, I had to go out there and tell him that our outfielder's retired. Well, Dennis Eckersley, I mean, you all know him. He's to this day he's got a suntan. He's got his own language. It's a very cool language, and people that are really cool understand what he's talking about. Like for him, he speaks about iron. Iron is money. The other day I saw him, and he says, it was like during the winter. I just joined Boston, and we sat down for dinner. He says, "Man, I'm boiling." I said, "Man, how can you be boiling? It's 20 degrees outside. It's nice in here." He says, "No, it means I'm starting to get a big tummy, and I'm boiling. I'm boiling my boiler." So when a guy is talking like that, the only way you understand him is if you're cool. If you don't understand him, you're not cool. And I never wanted him to think I wasn't cool. So no matter what he said, I watched him. If he was smiling when he said it, yeah, right, okay. If he had a serious look, oh yeah, man. But never. In fact, by the way, when Gibson hit the home run off him, people talk about the walk-off. That's Eck coined that. They came into him, and all the writers said, "What do you feel?" He said, "Well, walk-off piece, man. I just got to deal with it." He said, "What are you talking about?" He hit it, and I walked off. So here's again, Stu didn't struggle much. Eck didn't struggle. He's a great closer, Hall of Fame closer. So it is a day where he's not himself. And I really don't want to pull him, because at the end of the game, you've used your pitchers, and he's the best one. So I have a chance to make a trip. You can make a trip and talk. So I go out there, and I says, "Eck, what's the problem, man? You're not yourself." He says, "Man, I know. I'm just salad." You know what that means? I didn't know what it meant. But I didn't want him to know I didn't mean it, because I didn't understand it, because I wasn't cool. And he said it kind of serious, so I said seriously, "Well, you should keep your arm up, tuck your shoulder, just in baseball lingo." And I said, "Hang in there, you'll be okay." Walked back to the dugout, two line drives. I gotta go get him. And I walked back out, and I said, "I gotta get you." He said, "Well, why'd you leave me in?" "Why'd you leave me in, dude?" I said, "Well, dude, I thought you'd get it fixed. I told you I was salad." So I said to him finally, I said, "Enough's enough. I'd rather be not cool than stupid." "What are you talking about?" "Come on, dude. It means I'm just tossing it up there." I said, "You're trying to tell me, instead of you just telling me that you don't have your stuff, your arm doesn't have life, you're kind of dead arm today, you say salad," and "Yeah, dude, don't you get it?" I said, "Why don't you get this? You heard today's forecast?" He says, "No." I said, "Showers."
That story gets better every time I hear that story. Up in Oakland, you always say that you had it was like graduate school when you were in baseball, because you had the good fortune of learning from guys who went by the first names, Whitey, Sparky, right? You're up in the Bay Area. You had those 3 teams that went to the World Series. John Madden gave you some advice. What was it?
Can I ask you a question first?
Yes.
Where'd you get your research?
Wikipedia.
This is good stuff. I mean,
it was a lot of work.
Well,
let me tell you, 3 questions takes a lot of work.
Well, for the football guys, talk about my good fortune living in the Bay Area. Once the Super Bowl was over, before I left for spring training, every year, and then when they both retired, it would happen once I got back. At least twice, I would have lunch with Bill Walsh or John Madden. And never together. They were separate. But that experience was, I'd take a notepad and they'd give me all these pearls of wisdom. Madden, the one, he told me a lot of them. The one that I remember the most, he asked me after the '83 season, my first time ever managing a team in the postseason in Chicago, the next year we stunk. And when I saw him that winter, he said, well, let me ask you a question. When you went to spring training, what were you thinking? I said, well, just get the club ready. He said, well, we had the same problem with the Raiders when we won the first time. When we came to camp the next year, we came back and we, as a staff and as a players, we remembered how good we were playing at the end, and we started from that, and we didn't start at 0. And he said, and I said, man, that's what we did too in '84. So from then on, you always have to start every year at 0. You got to build every basic from the beginning, because you got to get reminded, don't ever take that for granted. And to this day, anybody that's, you know, when I was managing, somebody leave, they say, did you give them that start from 0 speech? So that was Madden. Walsh told me that he was one of the ones that told me he would concentrate on the, you know, 50-some guys, he would really concentrate on the quarter of the club that he knew would co-sign the message. You know, he talked to Keena and he talked to Ronnie Lott and Joe, you know, the guys that when he had something that he really felt the club needed, he made sure that the leaders had it. And then when he talked and he left, the leaders would take it in the clubhouse and they ran the clubhouse. It's one of the most effective things. It's still, whenever I give advice to any young manager, I say, get your team leaders to take that message. So I was very fortunate. And also had a guy named Bob Lattiser with De La Salle that to me is the finest coach that I've ever been around, including all the ones I just mentioned.
There are so many things I could ask Tony about, but one of the greatest games of all time in Major League Baseball was Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, if you saw it. The Cardinals were down to their last strike, 9th inning, down 2 runs. Twice, in the 9th inning and in the 10th inning, they rallied from 2 runs down and went on to win that game and win the World Series. The Rangers could have won the World Series with just 1 more strike. During the 9th and 10th inning, did you ever say anything to the guys? David Freese, right, or Freese, I said the wrong name, David Freese, came to the Angels. He was the most unlikely of all heroes. Did you ever say anything? Was there anything you did as a manager that got you there? You wrote a book about this.
Well, when you get to that point, you better have, as a staff and a team, you already have to get your act together and how you're going to handle that kind. I'll give you one example, because you make a point, you tell a story. We always felt that we were going to play 9 hard or 14, whatever it took. We just were never going to ever give in, refuse to lose, and if somebody got beat, you just tip your cap. So one of the strategies that I was taught by Dick Williams, actually, he was with the A's manager. When you go into the postseason and you play on the road, it's very hostile. Well, you know, you guys know this, play football, basketball, you know how it is. You go into some arena, it's nasty. Well, in baseball, it's the same way. So when you play on the road, your club, all you hear is all this clutter and this noise from the home team making the stuff. So we had this strategy that whenever our team came in from defense, everybody on the bench, I mean everybody on the bench, had to get to this top step and cheered when they come in. Make noise, noise, noise. So the guys that came off the field knew that they were supported and we were all in this thing together. I mean, it was loud, man. You can do it. It was great. Well, we did that forever. So my point is, we were down 3-2. We're playing the Rangers, playing at home. We're down 2 runs. It's the bottom of the 9th inning. They had a really good closer named Felice. And a lot of times, you know, I would make a point to walk around and kind of remind, hey, let's go. We got to get it going. Let the guys know something. And I get a little choked up thinking about it. As I started to walk from the left corner of the dugout to the right where most of the guys were entering the dugout, I got about halfway and I stopped because I didn't have to say a word. The guys in the dugout knew, and they were just, let's go, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I couldn't have been prouder than I was when our daughters were born, because these guys had bought into it, and they were doing it on their own. I just stood back and said, man, you know, whatever happens, we get beat. We took our best shot, and sure enough, you know, we tied it, and he tied it, and then we won it. And I think that's probably the memory that I take away from that was they had created this refuse to lose, and especially this little technique where we were going to be really loud when the guys came out the field.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.